Nobody expected to wake up to a headline like this. Kim Menzies not only locked down a secret engagement, but is now gearing up for a high-profile, luxury wedding with a surprise pregnancy thrown smack in the middle of the fairy tale. Instagram barely survived the blast after she dropped the double whammy of a glittering diamond ring and a baby bump, all pressed together in a single scroll-stopping photo with Wayne Hope. 1 minute, Kim was laying low, off the grid, dodging drama and ducking reality TV spoilers. The next, her name is everywhere, flanked by heart emojis and wide-eyed disbelief. Fans rushed to replay every old episode, hoping for clues they missed, while the gossip forums lit up like fireworks at midnight. For months, most of us assumed her love life was stuck in neutral, but out of the blue, she's planning a wedding worth more than most people's entire house, and apparently buying an actual house to match. Wayne slides in as the British mystery man nobody had on their bingo card, turning every fan theory on its head. Blockbuster-level secrecy, globe-spanning hookups, and now a baby at 52? Kim pulled off the kind of plot twist that would make even the most dramatic reality TV producer jealous. But here's where you have to blink twice. TLC isn't hiding on the sidelines either. Suddenly, there's talk of a massive 15,000 network gift, tabloid headlines about an 800,000 home, and online debates that refuse to calm down. The whole thing feels less like a Hallmark movie and more like a fever dream cooked up by a showrunner who loves chaos. But can any couple keep a secret this wild, with millions of people combing through their lives, looking for cracks? Within 1 hour, Kim's announcement collects a tidal wave of likes and heart-shaped emojis, but the comment section teems with skeptics, cheerleaders, and a few professional gossip mongers, all racing to uncover which part of the story is real and which part has been stitched together for cameras. The stakes have jumped from zero to wedding bells in a flash, and nobody's quite sure if they've witnessed a love story or the greatest misdirection in the show's history. Still, the frenzy feels too perfect, too smooth, too glossed for reality TV veterans who know pain always bubbles just under the surface. And lurking right behind the flawless photos and congratulatory memes is a crack in the picture-perfect image, a tension line threatening to snap the whole fantasy in half. It was not so long ago that Kim's love life was splashed across every headline, public heartbreak on display, her tears analyzed in frame-by-frame slow motion. The Usman saga, let's be honest, left nobody cheering. If there's one thing Kim's journey taught all of us, it's that reality TV can turn private pain into a spectator sport, with millions watching every hopeful glance and every awkward text. After the heartbreak, people wrote her off, at least romantically, tagging her as unlucky, maybe too trusting, maybe done looking for anything real. But the same Kim who built up armor in front of the cameras started plotting her own comeback story away from the glare. No grand Instagram reveals, no sneaky hands in a hotel lobby. This time, she would play behind the scenes. Sliding into Wayne's life turned into a covert operation. Forget about hand-in-hand snapshots from airport lounges. Kim and Wayne dodged every fan, every blogger, and every screaming TMZ alert. Friends swore she kept her phone face down, notifications off, and made sure not one tagged photo popped up from those late-night dinner runs. If you were paying attention, though, something felt slightly off. Her captions were all about self-care and quiet reflection, but eagle-eyed fans caught a British phone charger in the corner of an Instagram story and a bottle of English tea on a bedside table that was definitely not California. Every time Kim dropped a cryptic quote about new beginnings, the fan forums drew up 10-page theories. There were random gaps in her social schedule, stretches of silence that didn't fit her pattern, and enough fuzzy details to keep Reddit running overtime. She didn't just delete old couple photos, she stopped posting with friends who might accidentally spill. Paparazzi lurking in San Diego came up empty-handed, and blogger accounts that usually sniff out drama before it lands found themselves blocked, muted, or simply ignored. Kim would book hotels under names that made even her friends laugh, and at least twice, Wayne was spotted in cities far from his home, heading straight towards where Kim had been photographed days before. This wasn't your regular reality TV hide-and-seek. It was like watching two grown adults invent their own version of the witness protection program. All the while, her loyal viewers kept wondering, If she was healing, why did everyone suddenly need to keep her location secret? And why did one of her best friends hint, mid-live stream, that Kim had some international business to take care of? But in the age of stories, screenshots, and second-by-second timeline stalking, nothing stays quiet for long. Every burrowed-down attempt at privacy seemed to spin more suspicion. Sometimes, the harder you try to stay hidden, the more the world goes hunting for your secrets. And right about when fans started putting puzzle pieces together, airports matching up, room service slips questioned, location tags gone suspiciously blank, the story crashed through its next invisible wall. All those late-night calls and whispered plans, all those carefully plotted meetings and tightly wrapped getaways, they all ended in a twist nobody planned. In a world where nothing disrupts the best-laid plans like life itself, Kim found herself staring at an undeniable test result, one that spelled out a new reality louder than any wedding ring or Instagram filter could. Kim thought keeping a long-distance romance off the grid was tough, but suddenly hiding the biggest news of her life from the world felt like trying to outrun a tidal wave with an umbrella. Every day began to feel like an episode of her own reality show, just without the producers yelling, "Cut." There she was, living with this growing secret, barely recognizing her own reflection in the mornings, checking if her face revealed anything new, clutching her phone between doctor visits and WhatsApp calls with Wayne that sometimes lasted all night. In public, she posted cool, composed updates and stories focused on self-growth, career moves, little motivational quotes. Privately, she was learning the kind of patience and fear that comes from late-in-life pregnancy tests and weird hospital appointments the tabloids would love to get their hands on. Behind every Insta smile was exhaustion, complicated feelings, sometimes even joy, but mostly the wild, unsteady panic of a woman balancing an explosive secret on the edge of exposure. Wayne, meanwhile, was going full dad mode from across the ocean. Instead of planning another romantic trip, he was making spreadsheets, talking to realtors, working the phone to make sure Kim had everything she'd ever lacked in past relationships. It wasn't enough for him to say, "I love you" over FaceTime. The guy pulled out every stop. There's expensive, and then there's call your real estate agent on a different continent expensive. He bought her a house so over the top, even Kim's biggest haters had no words. 800 grand for privacy, comfort, security, and, frankly, a message to anyone doubting his intentions. The drama didn't even pause for a breath. If Wayne had wanted to avoid the spotlight, he did the opposite. That house sat like a big neon sign for every fan with Wi-Fi and too much time. Online, the clues kept piling up. Someone tracked property records, another followed flight logs. Suddenly, Kim's break from social media was more questionable than her entire last relationship combined. Every time she posted, fans speculated about whether she'd gained a little weight, why she was using more flower emojis than usual, who the mystery man holding the camera was in her latest selfie. It didn't take a genius to see Reddit threads spiraling. Fans wanted details, critics accused her of staging drama for ratings, and trolls cushed the fake pregnancy for publicity theory until even other cast members felt the sting. Kim's silence felt dangerous somehow, like everyone knew a major reveal was coming, but nobody guessed how or when. Through it all, one person's opinion started to overshadow even internet gossip: her son Jamal. On TV and off, he'd always played the tough guy, the family protector, skeptical of every man who showed interest in Kim. He torched her exes without apology, rolled his eyes at every love-at-first-sight speech, always pushing her to demand respect and stability. Now his blessing loomed larger than any Instagram comment section. Kim rehearsed the conversation in her head for weeks. What parent wants to tell their grown child that yes, she's moving on fast, new man, new ring, a baby, a whole mansion, all while still putting herself back together from the last breakup? She risked everything, betting on the magic of a secret so big that it felt impossible to carry alone. The internet, of course, didn't give her a moment's peace. People tracked her step count from Instagram stories, speculated on why she switched from tight dresses to baggy hoodies, and noticed the subtle "congratulations" messages coming from accounts that rarely commented before. Every step Kim took toward owning her story only made the world dig harder for weak spots. If a shadow appeared in her video background, Someone froze the frame, magnified the image, and DM'd 3 cast gossip bloggers in the next hour. Even those closest to Kim started getting messages, sometimes invasive, sometimes just nosy, but always pushing for the thing Kim and Wayne least wanted, a leak. When Wayne's real estate grab went public, the tone shifted again. Some cheered. Finally, someone treats her right. Others recoiled, calling it excessive, controlling, or too good to be true. The luxury gift became both a love letter and a weapon, used by supporters to defend Wayne's loyalty and by doubters to accuse him of manipulation. It was all proof, but what it proved depended on who you asked. Kim tried to shrug off the endless scrutiny, but under the surface, everything was moving faster than she could control. She could manage hiding a relationship, but you can't hide a second heartbeat, not in her world. She knew her life was about to tip over. One day, after a whirlwind of missed calls and anxious messages, the doctor's voice on the phone pulled all the secrets into the light. There was no more hiding. What had started as a fairy tale, spun in secret, had snowballed into a storyline too big for any backroom plot. Kim stood on the edge, too far in to back out, with the whole internet poised for her next move, and every emotion she'd buried boiling up for the world to see. Imagine the nights Kim sat awake, hands trembling, scrolling through texts from Wayne, and watching the hours pass in silence. The weight of the secret never got lighter, only sharper, turning every small moment into a mountain. She knew talking to Jamal wouldn't be like sitting down with the cameras or answering a few spicy questions from fans. This conversation meant risking the only source of tough love and loyalty she'd been able to count on through every storm. Was she too old for this kind of new beginning? Was it fair to Jamal to ask him to adjust again, to swap safety for surprise, when he'd watched her fall and stand up again so many times? Kim replayed every old fight, every moment when Jamal defended her in reunions, and every time he warned her not to let love cloud her judgment. Outside, it looked like the world was celebrating, but inside, she was rehearsing apologies in case none of it landed right. Jamal's role in her life goes beyond son. He'd turned gatekeeper years ago, testing anyone who came near his family, never shy with a side eye or hard question. He knew the rules of reality TV all too well. He grew up in the spotlight. He saw the comments, the mockery, the receipts, and the way productions sometimes spent moments for drama. Lately, he'd watched his mother's social media posts slide from cheerful to cryptic. He felt the gaps, he heard the rumors, and he noticed she started working on herself precisely when the world assumed her dating life had stalled. Kim's anxiety only grew as outside pressure mounted. The fan forums had started their countdown to the next leak. With every small clue pointing closer to the truth, she was desperate to shield from chaos. Reddit was ablaze, posting timelines that matched her quiet trips with Wayne's shadowy travelogues. Instagram detectives zoomed in on backgrounds, planting suspicions that made even her most ordinary updates seem loaded with secrets. Any joy at the prospect of a new baby or a wedding struggled to rise above the noise. Doubt became the rhythm of both her public and private life. Was she risking everything for the promise of something real, or setting herself up to be judged all over again? She rehearsed the reveal for days. Even with so much on the line, Kim couldn't shake the basics, her voice catching, her mind looping worries that she'd let her son down. This wasn't just about love, or even about a baby. This was about rewriting the terms of trust between a mother and the person she trusted most in the world. During one especially quiet night, Jamal sent a simple text, "Just checking in, you good?" And Kim realized she didn't want her journey shared through leaks or wild speculation. She wanted to own her story before anyone else could claim it. The confrontation was softer than dramas past, but full of stakes. She laid every card on the table: the hidden relationship, the late-night calls, the older British boyfriend she was about to marry, the upcoming wedding, the sudden real estate leap, the pregnancy. There was nowhere for either one to hide. She braced for disbelief or anger. Jamal listened, no interruptions, no sharp sighs, only a frown line deepening as details spilled out. In his face, the battle played out between automatic protectiveness and genuine concern. He asked if Kim felt safe, if she was happy, if Wayne had given her any reason not to trust him. These were practical questions, not accusations. Jamal wanted facts, not fairy tales. Outside the family bubble, fans cheered, doubted, debated. Supporters filled Twitter with messages like, "Finally, Kim's getting her happy ending," while others fired off warnings about whirlwind romances and the pitfalls of public cash gifts. Some questioned how a secret like that could survive the grind of reality TV, if the whole thing wasn't just a setup for another season. One account posted, "I hope Jamal gives her hell. Someone's gotta think straight." The counter-narrative was just as loud. "Let her live, gosh. The woman is allowed to be happy." Even cast members from earlier seasons popped into comment threads, offering careful encouragement while slyly watching for any cracks in her armor. Through all the noise, Kim's needs became simple. She wanted safety, respect, and family support for her future, not just to hold on to the version of love everyone else demanded from her. Vulnerability wasn't filtering her next photo or bragging about a diamond ring. It was admitting the fear of repeating mistakes and hoping her choices would finally stick. On screen, Kim seemed transformed, but the private Kim was braced for everything to fall apart in one tense conversation. Jamal's response was layered, cautious, but not cruel. He grilled her about timelines, about whether Wayne had passed the most basic tests. He wanted to know if the relationship was balanced, if she felt in control, and if anyone was pressuring her to forgive past betrayals too fast. Kim, for the first time in years, spoke with steady confidence. She described Wayne's consistency, how every gesture had been about building something sustainable, not love-bombing her for the sake of show. She didn't flinch when Jamal asked the hard stuff, about age, about power, about what would happen if the romance fizzled again. Jamal remained skeptical about the pace, but he didn't dismiss her feelings. In her own words, Kim admitted, "I spent so long thinking I should be ashamed of needing someone, but I'm not hiding anything from you." The moment cracked the shell open. Jamal offered his blessing, maybe not as a cheerleader, but as a son who valued her happiness over viral approval. He warned her to keep her head, to demand respect, to always prioritize herself and the new life she was building. It was not a total victory cheer. It was nuanced, mature, and honest, and nothing like the fiery throwdowns on TV. Outside their tiny circle, the story had already caught on. TLC had sent a $15,000 check, signaling this wasn't just another cast romance, it was anchor content for a new season. Wayne's real estate power move went from private romantic gesture to public headline, sparking think pieces and wild speculation about the influence of reality TV money. Kim's feed overflowed with comments, half of them supportive, cheering for her hard-won joy, half of them sharpening knives in anticipation of mess. For Kim, the noise didn't drown out the moment she got home. A text from Jamal saying, "You'll be fine." I believe that. Not every story gets the slate wiped clean so quickly. People asked if she was being reckless, if public displays and expensive gestures were worth the risk. But Kim finally looked at her child, her future, and the support she still held, and realized she could let go of the anxiety, just enough to breathe. Public opinion seesawed back and forth with every new update, but for once, Kim felt no pressure to write her next chapter for anyone but herself. And for everyone watching, bracing for another train wreck or a surprise happy ending, Jamal's acceptance became the twist nobody saw coming, a chance for both of them to step into the spotlight together, this time on their own terms. The day Kim pressed post on that now legendary photo, she probably knew she wasn't just sharing good news, she was throwing herself into a storm with no umbrella. There's nothing soft or private about a public reveal on this scale. Her palm resting on Wayne's chest, the sparkling ring, the unmistakable glow. Every pixel screamed, "This is real. We're done hiding." Within minutes, the likes started pouring in, more than any update since the early Usman episodes. Comments followed, thousands within the hour. Some came from fans who'd followed Kim's journey from awkward reality TV first dates to late-night confessionals. Others came from strangers who saw the trending hashtag and wanted in on the drama. The first wave was pure celebration. People wanted to see Kim win. Supporters wrote full paragraphs about how she deserved real love, about her loyalty, about every time she had been let down on camera and got back up even when the internet rolled its eyes. The tone was almost healing. Everyone had watched her get criticized, both by fans and sometimes even family, for hoping too hard or letting people in too fast. But now, the stakes had changed. No one expected her to not only find someone from halfway across the world, but to keep it secret in an era where reality stars barely go a day without leaking some little spoiler or cryptic post. Fans saw hope in the story. They used her hashtags, told their own tales of relationship surprises, admired her honesty, and even made jokes about the Kim glow-up era finally arriving. But pleasant words are never the full story. The second wave hit with skepticism. Internet detectives swarmed property websites, matched Wayne's travel dates, posted blurry airport photos, and even suggested the entire relationship was written for the next season of reality TV. A few insisted Kim was pulling an engagement plus pregnancy, double whammy for maximum TLC money. There were threads arguing about the house, threads speculating whether she could trust Wayne, threads about Jamal's role, and then full theories accusing Kim of hiding even more. For every cheerleader, there was a critic demanding proof. Memes began cycling through Twitter and Instagram, poking fun at everything from the secret agent relationship to Kim's ability to keep anything under wraps for more than a day. And the truth is, Kim has seen both sides of this before. She lived through every flavor of mockery and every wave of cyber judgment, nothing new, just high definition this time. What set this moment apart wasn't the noise, though. It was Kim's response. She didn't bite at critics, didn't post long captions defending herself, didn't rope in Wayne for an emergency live session. She softened. She let her real friends and a few trusted cast members in on the happiness and let the rest of it roll by like the background fuzz at a family barbecue. She thanked the fans who were kind, supported the ones still rooting for her, and ignored the worst trolls. The only time she addressed the backlash was to clarify lies about her health. In her words, "This is disgusting and classless." The message was simple, love or hate the updates, but she wasn't playing defense. Wayne, across the ocean, became a meme almost overnight. People obsessed over his age, his accent, his willingness to drop huge money for privacy. But every time a new theory took off, he stayed quiet, planting roots in Kim's life, setting the stage for his move, making sure Kim felt supported even as her name shot up trending lists. When you have fans, critics, and producers watching your every step, sometimes not responding is the most radical move. The gift of that seven-figure home became its own plot twist. For some, it was validation that Wayne was the real deal. For others, especially voices online who distrusted every new cast romance, it only made things shadier. The running joke became, if it looks too good for reality TV, wait for the next episode. Through all of this, Kim kept working on herself. She kept her friends close, relied on her family, and even with drama pounding on her front door, made time for her health and well-being. The stress was real. Those late-night hospital stays were not part of the script, even if rumors spun otherwise for engagement. She told the truth about her surgery, accepted support, and made it clear she wasn't quitting or letting gossip define her recovery. Even as people speculated, she focused on moving home, prepping for her new family member, and finalizing wedding plans. Her journey wasn't neat or Instagram perfect. Never was, never will be, but she started learning to breathe with it rather than fight against every wave of mess. What comes next for Kim and Wayne isn't obvious or easy to script. The cameras are never fully off now. TLC's 15,000 wedding gift was both a present and a promise. The network sees her as central to its biggest headlines, and they want ringside seats for whatever comes next. Fans ask if the wedding will air, if the pregnancy will get a one-off special, if Jamal will be the one to call out Wayne at the ceremony. Behind the scenes, Kim is settling into her seven-figure home, prepping for a new baby, learning what it means to make space for joy after so many seasons of struggle. Anyone who's followed Kim from the start knows why her story never gets old. She doesn't avoid hard questions, and she doesn't run from pain. She's taken criticism on national TV, real, raw, sometimes messy. From the awkward pauses with Usman, to tense family dinners, to hospital beds and privacy chases, she never edits out the fear or the hope. That's what makes her watchable. Reality TV is packed with people pushing drama, but Kim lives through it, sometimes triumphantly, sometimes awkwardly, but always out in the open. Her arc is not a perfect Cinderella story. It's a battle to carve out moments of safety and intimacy inside a machine that wants everything sensational. Social media can't decide which side of the fence to land on. Some want the wedding to be live and wild. Some beg her to keep the next chapter private. Reddit threads remain split, with every news blip sparking new alliances and new rivalries among fans. Industry insiders are betting if Kim and Wayne's story will reset the standard for reality romance or spark the next round of scripted rumors. And even Kim's sharpest critics admit, for a celebrity who looked down and out after her last heartbreak, she's pulled off a comeback that nobody could have predicted. Now, as her own life swerves toward a new season, Kim faces questions. What does forever even mean when your worst days are binge-watched across 4 time zones? What happens when your comeback story makes you both the hero and the target? She's not promising perfection, but she's not apologizing either. She's changing one day at a time, from someone trying to play along for applause, to someone setting boundaries even as the world keeps score. So, where does this take us next? Will Kim and Wayne go the distance? Or will the wedding itself deliver a fresh twist nobody saw coming? Will Jamal's new role as cautious supporter turn to public ally, or will family drama spark up again as their new life gets more real? Is Wayne truly the ride or die that everyone wants for Kim, or is there another plot turn waiting in the wings? Sometimes on reality TV, the real shock isn't the next fight or breakup. It's watching someone find peace with every question left unanswered. Keep your head up and your popcorn handy, because in our next episode, the drama will keep boiling. One cast member disappears from socials, a brand new love triangle is brewing, and secrets buried in the past are bubbling right to the surface. If Kim's wild ride showed us one thing, it's that nothing stays hidden forever, but watching people stumble, recover, and fight for happiness is exactly why we can't look away.